one thing that you speak quite often about, and you touched on it there, is longevity in training,
Hmm.
right? Uh, what do you think is the difference, or what separates people who can train for decades versus
Hmm.
somebody who gets burnt out or, burnt out? Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. Well, I mean, some people start things and they get very enthusiastic and they get this whole wow, they like the rush.
Hmm.
I was watching what was it, the Rookie, the TV show, and the lead character, his wife, was like that, and she's a tough chick. She's a fireman and she does capoeira and can handle guns and stuff. And then someone offers her a job to go to the Pentagon to leave Los Angeles and uproot their life. And they say, well, you can get a law enforcement out there, and you're like, you're 51 because it's the Rookie. You started at like 48 or whatever. And no, you're not. You're not going to be starting over. And she was the type, they had a discussion and she said, you need that buzz, like that starting something new and you're all pumped up. Let's start a new business. Let's go on a different vacation this year. Let's try something else this year. So some people burn out because of that. They need that constant rush of doing something new groups of people, new activities. And they could push not the cutting edge, but the bloody edge, and they'll get injured. I'll say, I was playing baseball, not even softball. I started playing baseball with this, older league. What happened? Well, I was pitching. Oh, yeah, I used to pitch when I was a kid. What happened? Well, my rotator cuff blew. Well, what do you think? One, you're older, you haven't trained in years, and you're trying to throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. So that you have a story now, okay? And they can't play tennis, and they can't throw too well either now. So they're burned out.
Hmm.
And in martial arts, you can watch TV and movies and decide you want that. You don't realize the hard work involved. The reason Keanu Reeves limps his movies, and Chad Stahelski, and we know Chad from martial arts
Hmm.
long before he directed. And Chad didn't go to do shoot wrestling because he hurt his knee. So he let the knee heal and got into stunt work. And it was stunt work for Keanu. And that's where the history started, is injuries that Keanu had over the years doing stunt. Well, okay, this is an action piece. I'll do this, you do that. Okay. So he get hurt. And I think he had a motorcycle accident. So his ankle's screwed up. And you see him limp when he tries to run or walk, Keanu.
Hmm.
And doesn't complain about it. He doesn't complain about it. So these things, when you're enthusiastic and you're doing movies, there's a lot of pressure. Like the injury's worth it. It's on film forever. John
Yep.
Milius, I think it was John Milius said that to Arnold Schwarzenegger when he made Conan. Like, oh yeah, I got hurt doing that. And, yeah, but it's on film forever.
Mm.
And it's the same thing with martial arts. You watch the movie like that, and you say, well, Keanu can do it. He's older than me. I'll do it. And you haven't been doing action movie work, not calling quite stunts, like I'd say what Tom Cruise does is stunts, but action movie work. You haven't been doing that for years, training with this expert for so long, doing it under controlled circumstances and having a gradual saying, okay, that's too risky to do. Insurance is not going to allow me. You haven't been doing that. So your fantasy's built, it's a real fantasy. So people get started. The same thing with skiing, same thing with motorcycling, same thing with tennis. Oh, tennis looks like fun. Now they've got pickleball, right? Pickleball?
Yeah.
Racquetball, pickleball. And everybody, I'm single, so you see women, oh, do you play pickleball? And my answer is, well, no, I'm straight. So, yeah. It's designed for people who can't play tennis. I mean, they can play tennis, but tennis is a harder, more dynamic game. I trained a tennis player who went to Wimbledon. Okay, not in tennis, but in conditioning.
Hmm.
I understand. I've seen them train. I've seen what type of athlete they are. Most people walking the earth will never be this athlete. That was in the gene pool, and they trained hard. Okay, and they continue to train hard. So they see them playing tennis, or we could use martial arts, or even pickleball, and they go, oh, I want to do that. But then they start something very physically active, and they go at it, as we say, balls to the wall. And if you approach things balls to the wall, as my friend Jack Reap says, pretty soon it's raisins to the wall. Same with training, same with anything. Like going to Thailand. You want to go to Thailand and train on their Thai instructor. Okay, there's probably moderate classes for people visiting. But you say, no, I'm going to have a fight. Really? Okay. And then, I can't remember, the name is escaping me now, but he just fought Pereira. His wife's a model. And he went to Thailand to train kickboxing. And he was on Rogan's show. And I saw the clip. And he said, I got there. And he said, well, I figured I'd do some pad work this afternoon. Do some pad work and get a guy to work with me and, work my game. He said, well, we're going for a run. Oh, did you run this morning? I said, yeah, we're going to run this afternoon. Going to run twice a day. He goes, well, you're going to come with the team because you're no choice. You're on the team. He said, well, I don't have running shoes. I got flip-flops. I don't care. So he ran 4 miles in flip-flops. That's, you know what I'm talking about with Thai.
Yes, sir.
You know that's anyone who's trained Thai boxing knows that's the absolute truth. For him, that's okay. He's a professional fighter. I think he's 31, 32 years old. Professional fighter, very good. And the average person says, oh, I want to do this. They're just not up to it. So they burn out rather rapidly. And the summary of this is something, my late friend, Steve Cotter, was one of the early kettlebell pioneers. He and I were speaking once, and he did Chinese martial arts very young. His single mother, so they just dropped the kids off at Chinese martial arts school, daycare. And he's a genetic freak, physically speaking. Not a real tall guy, but like very muscular and very shallow shoulder and hip joints. So he could do like side splits and rotate his shoulders very easily, but very muscled to protect that. And it would say, I'll do one-legged squats, pistols. Okay, I can do 5. How many do you do? I can do 7. Really? So he started going till they do like 100. That's the mentality he always had. Like closing and opening your hand, they called them butterflies. And we were sitting around, well, yeah, we did butterflies. Oh, you call them butterflies. Like, what was your number? 1,000. Did 1,000. That was his mentality. And he said, you're a martial artist all of your life, but you're a martial athlete only part of your life.
Yeah.
That was one statement was very clear. And I said, that's a good point. Like, and that gets back to, oh, do you do MMA? No, I'm 60 or 70 or whatever the age is. It's a stupid question. They ask it because it has an ego thing. They don't do it, so they're trying to find a weak point somehow.